Welcome to Pressplay, Vikrant.
Hey, Vinith, it's great to be here.
Fantastic to have the founder and CEO of Mogi IO as our guest for Pressplay's 12th podcast. I am excited to have Vikrant as our guest. Great to see some video-focused innovation from India. And as you will see on this podcast, the video tech market is alive and kicking, not only globally, but also in our own backyard. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Vikrant, and also what's it like leading a company like Mogi IO?
Sure, Vinith. Thank you so much, for that introduction. So I'll give a sort of a brief background about myself. So I have been in the industry for more than 20 years. I last headed the business of Home Shop 18 as their chief operating officer. I ran that business for 4 years. Before that, I spent time with companies like Bharat Airtel, where I was their vice president for all the digital platforms across their 3 lines of business, which is mobility, broadband, and DTH. So basically, a P&L guy, for the last 15 years, I've been doing P&L roles. In my initial years, I was on the brand and the marketing side. So I launched a brand called Vatika Shampoo for Dabur, one of the 5 power brands of the company as per the annual report. Even now, and also launched the Pillsbury brand in India. So as you can see, a bit of a diverse background, starting from consumer marketing to now leading a company which is, like Mogi, which is a B2B SaaS venture in the video tech space. And to answer your question about how does it feel like, I think it feels fabulous. To be an entrepreneur, I think the timing is absolutely right. I love the fact that the whole startup ecosystem in the country today is really vibrant. It's so buoyant with so many great success stories going around. Of course, you have your set of challenges as well. For Mogi, which is let me briefly introduce Mogi to you and our listeners. So Mogi is a B2B SaaS venture in the video tech space. We are building cutting edge technology and a world-class video tech business from India. Our solutions lie in 3 different buckets. The first bucket is what we call core video tech. There we are building a couple of very interesting IPs, such as, we have a patent for a buffer-free, streaming, which we call Mogi Streaming Engine. We use AI to enhance the quality of videos while compressing their size by up to 50% at the time of transcoding. And the works, we have our own video player, DRM, etc., etc. The second bucket in which our solutions lie is what we call image tech. There we compress images by up to 80% while enhancing their quality using AI. So this is a solution which is probably a huge value add for those content platforms which are serving large amounts of images. A classic example would be an e-commerce platform. And the third bucket in which our solutions lie are, we have these white label solutions, totally managed plug and play for 2 industries. One is OTT and the other is education. So if you're a content house or an educator and you want to go live with your own branded OTT app or an edtech platform, we can help you do so in a matter of a couple of days. And it's a fairly detailed solution. I'll talk about that in more detail probably sometime later.
Awesome.
So over to you, Vinith.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Great introduction. Fascinating time for all of us in the video space. And, I think the next question I have is that we've all lived through unprecedented times and COVID, the pandemic doesn't seem to stop. How is Mogi IO helping customers face these challenges?
I think great question, Vinith. It is a fact that these are very challenging times and the whole paradigm has shifted. There are no holy cows anymore and, a lot of rules being rewritten. So I'll give you some examples of how the scenario is changing and how we are also potentially trying to add value to our clients. So the first example I'd like to take is that of a fairly largish OTT from India. And I mean, as we all know that, 3 March 2020, the OTT consumption in India was largely confined to the top 8 metro towns. But the tectonic shift that has happened during these times is that, suddenly there's a very, very deep sort of proliferation that started towards the tier 2, tier 3 towns for the OTT market. And so these guys were going through the same transition. And while as they were moving into these markets, and they have an SVOD subscription-based VOD model. And as we all know, the paid customer is obviously, the paying customer is always more unforgiving, sorry. So because of that reason, they were getting a lot of complaints from the tier 2, tier 3 towns about buffering issues. And that's where, when they reached out to us, that's where we stepped in with our patented movie streaming engine, and try to solve their problem. So just to give you a brief idea, movie streaming engine actually delivers, videos for every individual user using the best combination of CDNs available for that specific user at that point in time in that geolocation. So we use what is classically called, a client-side midstream real-time switching technology. And this is, while it sounds easy, but it's fairly complex, in terms of, how you have to optimize between the different CDNs based on a real-time data that's flowing through to you. But we were able to, achieve that for this client, and happy to mention that they're pretty satisfied, and it's going great for them. So this is one of those stories. Another interesting story is of another regional OTT this time. In fact, I can name them. They are called Stage. So they are a Haryanvi language OTT, and they were using the transcoding solution of one of the big, global players. And they reached out to us saying, and they had recently transited from a free model to a freemium model. And while they were, finding a good uptake for their subscription-based service, but once again, because of the fact that they are a Haryanvi language, platform, and they were, getting a lot of customers from deep, inside, the smaller towns and villages in Haryana. There were performance issues, there were pixelation issues they were facing specifically on the video resolution. And that's when we worked alongside with them to figure out the real problems. We use AI to enhance the quality of a video while compressing its size by up to 50% at the time of transcoding. So over and above the generic transcoding process, we add these additional layers of value. And somewhere, I think in this whole process, the whole thing worked out for them. They were very happy with the end result. And yeah, finally, it's going great for them. So yeah, I think these are the two stories which, come straight top of the mind. There are obviously many, many more, probably for later.
Understand, man. That's awesome, man. That's I love the Stage story. And, I think India obviously has this opportunity and challenge at the same time to obviously go after a larger audience, but a lot of the audience is in tier 3, tier 4 rural markets who are consuming content big time. So that leads me to my next question, which is, the tech piece of the industry is seeing increasing competition, right? And there are so many partners now versus 4 to 5 years ago when I started Bright Cove here. And, now when I look at it, what are the big things to consider when OTT platforms, video businesses are choosing their vendors of choice for the technology component?
I think once again, a great question, Vineet. Firstly, this whole proliferation of OTT is here to stay. I think, that's a fact. I think all of us realize that.
Agreed.
The second point is that, the conventional definition of OTT, the way we have looked at it, which is the likes of Netflix and Prime, is possibly not the way it's going to be, in future. I mean, of course, these platforms will always be there, but there will also be an additional new forms of OTT, which is, in in education, in sports, esports, in healthcare, and so on and so forth. So that is the new next wave that we are seeing. From this whole democratization of OTT that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to your question of, what are the challenges? I personally see, a good OTT solution having 5 layers. The first layer is the market-facing layer, which is, you need to have the mobile apps, you need to have the web app, and you need to have, the platform compatible with, all the Fire TV and Android TV and, stuff like that. That's the first layer. The second layer is the portal based content management layer, which facilitates the whole uploading of content and the content management part. Not getting
Right.
into the details of that. Don't want to make it too technical. The third layer is the core video tech layer, on which this entire operation runs, which means, ideally speaking, as the democratization happens, it has to be a zero code or no code integration, right? So, which
Right.
means all that the content owner should do is just the ability to upload the content. That's it. And after that, the OTT platform should take over. So, which means you need to provide them, transcoding, streaming, player, DRM, storage, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So the complete end-to-end core, video tech is I think a critical one. The fourth layer is the monetization layer, okay, which we all understand, is extremely critical, because that's the fundamental reason why somebody is launching their own OTT. So you need to enable them to start monetizing it from day one, and that's where enablement of SWOD, TWOD, and AWOD becomes very important. And here, once again, it'll be a strategic choice for the content owner, a client, somebody who's looking at launching their own platform, to find an OTT partner, like, let's say, for example, Mogi, if they have the right partnerships, because while SWOD and TWOD are relatively easier to achieve, AWOD is a ecosystem in itself. This better, Vinith, how complex the whole ad engine, ad exchange phenomena is. You need to have multiple tie-ups with multiple demand side and supply side partners. So those are the strategic choices which somebody needs to make. Yeah.
Right.
And that's a fairly complex layer. And the fifth layer of an OTT, a solid, a robust OTT solution, is the personalization layer, which is also, I think, becoming very, very important. And as the market matures, the whole personalization piece, which is resting on the recommendation engine and the whole big data story that's behind it, will become very critical. So to me, to answer your question, to me, these are the 5 layers, and in each of these layers, you have multiple choices to make. So anybody who is considering an OTT solution at this point in time should evaluate a partner, based on these strategic choices. Which one is most important for me, and and then what is the right fit that I can find to achieve that in the market.
Yeah, great answer. I think I really appreciate the laying out the layering and the 5 broad buckets that are the key consideration set for any content owner who's looking at a OTT partner or OTT tech partner. Thanks, Vikrant. Really knowledgeable and insightful answer there. Next one, as far as Mogi goes, right? What is it like running a video-focused startup from India? What are some of the challenges, opportunities that you see in front of you from a pure India subcontinent point of view?
I think super excited, about the whole opportunity, which is there in front of us at this point in time. 80% of the traffic today on the internet is video. It's only, increasing further. The pandemic, for whatever reason, has good or bad, but has definitely put this whole video adoption on steroids. But I think some of the sort of interesting challenges that are facing the industry today are that, I mean, as we all know that India is such a diverse country. You have both ends of the spectrum playing at the same time.
Right.
So today you have the established OTT players, the big ones who have been there in the market for the last 5 years. Their challenges are very different from the the ones which are coming in the bottom end of the pyramid players, who are in these various new diverse kind of use cases which we spoke about in the previous point. So these are the two sort of very different use cases that are emerging. For the established players, I think the challenges today are in the area of, a lot of consumption of the content is moving rapidly to the large screen, the big screens. Today, Vineet, a 50-inch LED television is available at 30,000 bucks.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Which is the price of a mid to high priced mobile handset. So when I have that option, why will I not consume? And the content quality is only improving. So why will I not view that content on a 50-inch LED? Yeah. But being in the business, we know that how challenging it is to stream that quality, because at that big a screen, the level of resolution which you need, consistently streaming a 2 hour, 3 hour movie, is so the whole streaming challenge there, the whole transcoding and compression challenge there is very different, right?
True.
Whereas, on the other side, at the other end of the spectrum, we just spoke about some of the vernacular OTTs who are getting to the market, and their challenges are very different, because there the whole thing is about the inconsistency of the network. Yeah, a lot of lower end handsets where the content is being consumed still. Yeah, I would say exciting times. From that standpoint. Obviously, it is a lot about understanding, what your current priorities are, which way the market is going to be moving in the future, 3 to 5 years. What are the global standards? You have some of these new codecs. I wouldn't call them new codecs, but we all know that today, I mean, it's a general rule that everybody is typically using H.264. But 265, 266, AV1, some of these codecs have existed for some time, right?
Correct.
But their adoption has been fairly low because of the device compatibility issue. In future, I see a lot of new work happening where the compatibility issue will be sorted by newer emerging technologies. And we at Mogi are super excited about building some of these ourselves. So yeah, I think exciting times, super exciting times.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I mean, if anything, if nothing else, all the things you spoke about are only going to intensify as 5G comes along, early next year. So my next question is, 5G rollouts are around the corner for most of APAC, including India. And the post-pandemic world will see all of this launching. Now, how should organizations prepare for this explosion that's about to come in front of us? What should the focus areas be, as per you?
So, great question once again. They say that the human reaction time is 200 milliseconds, and 5G response time is less than 1 millisecond, right? So I think that statement to me itself is very, empowering. That gives us, I think all of us in the ecosystem today, some perspective on what the opportunities could be. Definitely those applications where, the response time is mission critical. There, I think, the 5G adoption and the 5G launch will make a whole world of difference. Areas which were completely unthinkable of, where you could use, streaming and, interactions, for example, remote surgeries. Now I'm kind of shifting a bit from, our conventional understanding of video usage, which is largely for entertainment, and business and meetings and stuff like that, but those are the newer areas and those are the newer vistas which will start opening up.
Correct.
Because that is mission critical stuff, right? So a lot of that will happen. A lot of even in conventional, areas where video has been used, live streaming of sports, multiple angles being streamed, simultaneously. The adoption of AR and VR. So a lot of new stuff is going to happen. I think the market is still not prepared, I would say, in terms of the opportunities. But, I'm sure, when 5G finally hits us, a lot of new use cases will evolve, and we will see launch of, fantastic new businesses in the market. I would also like to state here that, while 5G will do the job of bringing the content from the origin to the last point, to the edge, but edge computing will also need to catch up.
Good point. Yes.
And that is something, which is we all need to think about, because while the 5G providers will, do their job, we will need to do our job, being in this video streaming ecosystem. And that is once again, a focus area for us at Mogi. We are, intensely engaged at this point in time in thinking about those opportunities and the technologies that we are building to address those, those challenges, those opportunities at that point in time.
Amazing, man. Exciting times for all of us. And Mogi sounds to be a fantastic story for those listeners who are wanting to go OTT or look at a solution from India. Look no further than my friends at Mogi. So thanks for that information, Vikrant. Very insightful knowledge base that you've shared. So appreciate the time.
Thanks,
and, one of the also goals of Pressplay obviously is to talk about the professionals behind the technology and behind the companies that are being formed. And what are Vikrant's passions and hobbies beyond video?
So I've been a marathon runner, Vineet, for the last 12 odd years. I've been running the marathons, the half marathons actually. Haven't really attempted the full marathon. And I'm an avid runner, so I run practically every day. That's one thing which I do. So fitness is definitely a passion, because it keeps the energy levels up, keeps your mood positive and optimistic and happy, and so that's one thing which I do. The other thing which I've started doing recently, that's a recent sort of a phenomena for me, is I used to be a reader earlier, an avid reader, but now I'm trying to move towards podcasts.
Right.
And thanks to people like you, Vineet, there is a lot of very interesting content that's available in bite size today. So
Yes.
a good podcast is a perfect sort of a recipe for a bedtime knowledge gathering, and also just upping your game. So I often listen to Spotify podcast. A typical one would be a Product Hunt or an AZ16, or I think Axel and Prime Ventures also have some great podcasts. I've started listening to yours as well. So yeah, that's the other thing which I do. And the third thing is, I love traveling. So I just come back with a bit of a revenge travel off-roading in Ladakh. Yeah. So I think those are the passions. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Thank you, Vikrant. Thanks for your time. I think running and trying to devote time for fitness is a must for all of us. So some good insights overall, and good luck for Mogi's journey now and in the future.
Thank you so much, Vineet. Pleasure speaking with you. Love to catch up with you all the time. Yeah, it's great fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.